Total eclipse of the heart. Steinman. He would like write these kind of things. This is real weird. Is that where my book was? I had a phone. Okay. So we're recording here. Let's see, take your phone out. I'm sure my phone's about to blow up because my daughter. Never mind. She missed an exam. Good professor. I got. He told me. Is that for? Did I just violate FERPA? Nothing parents aren't supposed to know about it. Here you go. Here's Phil Pot. Phil Pot. It does sound like Phil Pot here. Timothy. It would really be a terrible. I don't understand parents who name their kids the same name as like this would be Phil Pot. Someone would do that. That'd be like abuse. You can tell your therapist about that. Here's Beard Johnson, but here's Dave, Missouri. I'm name dropping. I know Dave. Dave's a Buffalo Bills fan. David's a fan of Dream Theater, the band, which is sort of cool because it's progressive rock. Not really my thing, but I admire how good they are. Anyway, in your Beard Johnson, actually have a section on strain gauges, right? And there's some problems where they're looking at this strain transformation, and they have these things here, but they don't have as many cool ones like the one I assigned, which I think is cool. That you go backwards, like real life kind of thing, where you get the strain gauge. They have this one, which is the example. It's like the only one in here. The example that we did in class, right in there. But that's cool because you can figure out where these forces are, and that's like a practical thing. Now it has some pressure vessel ones, but not many more besides that. But this is the book that you used, right, or for mechanical materials, but not the lab, but the class.
Yeah, probably the condition.
Okay. Phil Pot, it's got some similar stuff in there. Let's see, I put this guy in here for a reason. Okay, so this may or may not have been a homework problem I used this year or another unit or exam or whatever, where we have this loaded coat hanger looking like pretty much a door handle but standing up. Little branches and stuff. But you can see, here's the stump idea. Right? The stump thing that I'm referring to, this is why I was inspired to start using. So here's the forces one, where you're seeing, here's the, instead of having reactions, everything's backwards. Because everything on the reactions we're all in the free body diagram. Here's the part that's left over, right? The stump. We made the thing free, that thing's floating over there in space, and what was left over is this guy. Remember that we're cutting these things to open them up because all of the stresses are inside. So in order to expose those stresses, we have to cut the thing. That's why they're a free body diagram or a stump. And so we can either see the reactions on the free body diagram or the equivalent loads, which is what they usually refer to the thing. So you see equivalent forces and equivalent moments. And they do a double symbol here. Some books use a double arrow to moments, and some books use a little curly arrow right here. They double down and use both symbols together. So like there's no question that that's the direction that moment is going onto the thing. They really get down. And so one of the things I was referring to in terms of like I really like this book's figures is here you go. Here is the stress, the compressive stress that they're putting on top of this thing. You can see that it's distributed all the way around, right? That really important word, distributed, right in there. We also have this shear right here. And you can see they put little tiny arrows here to the side, because that's where they're the highest, right? They also put the bending in here. And I don't know if you can tell by the colors, I don't know if that translates here, but we have compression is this green one, and tension is that blue one right in there. And then lastly, we have torsion right here. And you can see here's the little tiny arrows going down that way. And we have this twist in the way we make. I think those visuals would really kind of help you. Give you another perspective. Maybe kind of like give you something to like picture in your head when you're looking at it.
Did you check your audio before?
I did not check.
Make sure.
Because I have done that before. Well, here you go. You can kind of see it right there. Check one. Let's see, is it going to do it? I don't know. Maybe we should pause it. I don't know how to check now. How do I check without stopping it? Starting it. Okay, pause it. Okay. I hope. I don't know, I can just mime. You just see the thing. Take it off the run. Do they have any more of these in here? Anyway, okay, they also, I think they show the bending from the other way, the other perspective right there. Alright, so we can have that perspective, and this perspective. Oh, and to finish off the thought that the Beard Johnson, even though Dave Mazurek wrote this book, when I sat through his mechanics and materials class, he used this book. Because the government wouldn't let him, because he gets paid, so he can't assign the book that, even though this is the standard everywhere, and we used the Beard Johnson for dynamics. So, I don't know, it's kind of a weird thing, right? He wrote this book, but he used this one. He must like it. I bet he knows. Change the thought. Sorry to close the loop on that. But anyway, you can also see like some of the things that I do. So you see why I'm doing them. I think there's also a certain amount of usefulness in letting you know why I'm doing something a certain way. Like that, I saw this in this book. I'm like, that's a really good way to start seeing the combined stress thing, right? That you can see the bending for this particular H right here. And we can quickly take a look back at this so we can, if you want to look at this problem like a little more closely and understand what's going on, you can kind of tell from just looking at this thing that, this is going to create a torsion, right, that guy? We don't always, it's not always possible, but a lot of times it's possible to kind of envision when you're looking at the original problem. You got to be careful not to rely on that, but you can kind of look at it and go, that's going to make a torsion onto the thing. There's nobody else, none of those other forces are going to make a torsion. You can also say, that force right there is going to make a bending moment about Z, and this one is going to cause the bending stress at that K. And that bending stress looks like it's going to be tension. We're cool with that? And if you also see that something else about this 3,000, even though it's causing torsion, it's also causing some bending at H around the x-axis, right? And then also so is this guy. So this guy is going, let's call it counterclockwise by the right-hand rule about X, excuse me. And this guy's also going counterclockwise about X. And both of them look like, if that's happening, it's going to be compression at H. Trying to envision those things is a really important skill, right? And every way possible, not only just to calculate the thing when you're doing free body diagrams, which are the way to make sure, if anything is ever confusing, you use those to try to organize your brain and organize your work. But here, you also want to be able to look at the thing and kind of visualize, what is that thing going to do, right? The combination of those will be very useful. And also recall that, like, when we wanted to find moments in statics, one of the things we would also do is do a cross product. Right? We would put the force as a vector, each of the forces as vectors, and then the distances from the region you're cared about. Treat those as vectors, and we would take the cross product. And I always get back, so I always have to look. I don't rely on my memory, but I think it's position crossed with the force. And to be careful because you'll get the opposite direction from that. But you could do that approach, and what you would end up, you would get those equivalent forces and equivalent moments, which are useful. The free body diagram, so that is the go-to guide. So I want to teach you both ways, right? And lean heavier on the free body diagram, because that is the quintessential useful tool. But anyway, so you can see this also causes compression, and that causes compression, although that causes tension in terms of axial. So there's a lot of things going on there, but then sort of as you start to look through here, okay, here's the compressive one, the net sum on the sum of the forces in the y direction ends up having that net. And see, they're doing this thing right here that really bothers me. They shouldn't do this right here, because this is violating some rules. This makes it confusing. The sum of the forces in the y direction do not equal these things, and they shouldn't do that. They equal 0, and then you get a reaction, because this technique belongs to the free body diagram. They're using it here. I think that makes it confusing. We want to stick with like the most important thing in here is the free body diagram. They're also talking. They also narrate through what all these moments are, just like we kind of did. Right, we have the torque coming in here. We have the bending about that, which causes tension at K. The bending about this, which causes a compression at H. But they also do the thing on there. You go, okay, yeah, you do the cross products. So the cross of the position vector to the force vector. These are totally legitimate things, but I'm not asking you to do these. But just reminding you that you did it in statics. And it's a useful thing. But anyway, we note that they also have something that we're going to be doing very soon. Is we're going to stop looking at stress elements, and we're going to start looking for the more practical thing. Where's the stress the largest? Because we're going to worry about the thing breaking. So we don't really care about a particular element. We care about like. Where is that spot where it's going to have the highest stress? So they're mentioning that these moments are vectors. So if you wanted to find the maximum moment say in a plane, I think you would get rid of that and you'd find the squares of some of the squares of that one and that one to get the bending moment that's in the non-torsion. Is this a torsion? So it doesn't make sense to find the overall vector there. We only want to like in one plane, where is it going to have the maximum between two separate axes? I said that in a weird way, but I hope it made some sense. And then working through where these stresses are, and I don't believe there are any torsional, there's no forces in this direction right there, in the x direction on this problem. Therefore, we're not going to have any transverse shear experienced at H. Because remember, it has to go across the face, and then it's to the side of those forces. So it's obeying it correctly here, where we have this direction in the Z, we have the transverse shear there, and the transverse shear there. And notably, while we're right here, I don't know if I can zoom in here enough to really be able to look at both of those. But the important part of the combined stress is the combined part of it, and looking to see what adds and what subtracts from each other. Some stresses will be additive, and some will be back and forth. So you can take a look at here at K. It looks like that shear coming this direction right there. And by the way, keep looking at the thing in the direction this is going and go, okay, at K it's going in that direction. You can see the same direction as the transverse. So that would add to that right there. But conversely, this thing is still going in that direction, that way, as this unlabeled element that's across from K. But it would be in the opposite direction as this right here, right? So just don't think that every time sometimes in some examples and homework, people will see that, oh, they went in the same direction, so they always add to each other. So I try to mix it up, like this you'll see, like, sometimes they add, sometimes they subtract. It just depends on the scenario, right? And I try to give you a mix of the scenarios, but sometimes I'll, just pick one, and they just coincidentally they add every time. And then I ask one on an exam, and, oh no, you got that right. Like, well, I don't know, but you know what? I think it drew the conclusion that they just always added the things up, right? So it's important that I point it out at least at some point, the additive nature of this thing. But anyway, so you see the same thing happening right here, right? Where here's where you see that they have the shear and they call it beam shear, but it could also be called transverse shear and the torsional shear, and they add them together. What else do I want to say? They don't do many problems here, but you can recognize some of the styles of this thing. Here's one where we have combined stress with a pressure vessel. Yeah, that looks, the style of these pictures with this, it's what I'm doing. As you can see, that we're going to combine. All right, so we're going to work on some problems. We can flip through and look for things. I think even one of the homework problems is even close to being in here. I think this guy right here is almost too similar. Right? I was thinking about doing, see, look at this guy. So we real similar, or practically the same thing. Although I didn't get the same forces or the same numbers, and I don't know if this one has any pressure. Is it pressure? Is it the pipe? Outside diameter 8.5 inches. This is almost the one I was going to assign, but I wanted to make a little pipe. I wanted to make a bend in the pipe. So anybody like jumping out? I'm not doing the same problem that we have in there. But I can do something similar if we do like this one. Want to do that one? Right. Will that be helpful? Okay. What is that okay with you? Yeah. All right. I just want to make everybody happy. I want to make Mr. Positive. Okay. Mr. Positive to watch this. Although sometimes my wife goes to assistance with positive about that. Don't you break that me. Don't you break that me. I want to complain. Well, okay then, you can just. She sounds like that. See. I'm not trying my best to be pretty. I should try to do a little more. I'll try to be a better person. I made a joke before, that they're going to be pound feet. I like calling them foot pounds. I didn't foot the first time. But when my wife and I were dating, we got married, got engaged, got married, I always thought that I would make her a better, I always thought she would make me a better person because I made her worse. She used to never swear. She would say, she would correct me, and I would say, H word. She'd say heck. Seriously. Right? Now she cursed like hell. We can solve it for, I don't usually ask people to solve it for both spots, and Melania just pointed out to me that he was asking me a question, and I totally realized that I just read the solution for the homework out nice and pretty. To the totally wrong point, so now I have to rewrite it out. But there's a lot of knowledge going on by doing both points on this kind of thing, right? To go both at H and at K. But I just think it's like extra more work, and I don't think people will want to do it, so I don't usually do it anymore. I used to do things, but I don't do it anymore. Anything else? I think I do. So, and did we tell about pressure? Is there a pressure? We got to do one though with the outside diameters. Oh no, there is the DO and the DI. What's the DI, dude? Focus 4.500 inches and 4.026 inches. And this is normal business purposes. They didn't tell us what the pressure was. Oh, wait. No, come on, man. Put some pressure in it. We're going to put some pressure. How much is it going to matter? How about 1,000 psi? I don't know. Is it going to matter? Pressure equals 1,000 psi. Boom. Let's go for it. All right, so don't have to do much of a free body diagram on this. Oh, we do have. Oh, I didn't label that force. This is there. 2,300. But it wouldn't hurt. I mean, we do have like a little weird thing right there where the force is coming out to the side. I don't know what that is. Maybe they hung something on it. I don't know. So there's a re-engineer, what they did is they took a chain ball, which is like a pulley system made out of chains. Like it's like a little ratchety thing where you could lift stuff up. It's like a hoist, but made out of chains. You use it, wrap them around the pipe, and put them on like a pad eye on the bulkhead, and just move the pipe into place. Quick, put the bolts in. We haven't covered residual stress. Residual stress. It combines, yeah. There's lots of pipes exploding. So let's do the FPD of X, Y, Z place start. We should do all three anyway. You know, do all three anyway. You know, so we're looking from this direction, rather than that. And that force, we see that force. Can't see this force is coming into there. Oh. And so that's the 4,200 pounds. This is the 1,700 pounds. And so we're going to have reactions up here. Call this R, Y. R, X. And then we're going to have a moment. And that one goes clockwise. This one must go counterclockwise. I can remember the place to put my arrow. Okay. That's a Z. Right there. So some of the moments about the Z axis. Simply going to be, okay, so what is this? This is 9 inches, and this is 15 inches. So this is right. That was terrible.
Why did you choose that direction for the moment?
Because this guy, because we're doing it about this point, right? Reactions at that place where we cut. And this is causing clockwise.
So it's like the reaction moment.
Yeah, so this is the reaction moment here in the free body diagram. We always go to for the opposites. And let me think here. So that's going to be MZ. I was going to quote. Sometimes I think I ought to name this something different, because this is not that thing. This is a statement that said we're going to take all the moments about the Z-axis, and here's a reaction about the Z-axis. So they're actually I would give it another letter or something. I don't know, different. Like I thought about it. I've written it down so many times. I'm going to call it RZ or something. You know, that we want to emphasize this thing that this is a different entity than that thing. This is a statement to take all of the moments about the Z-axis, as opposed to saying that's the same thing. Okay. And then so this is going to be negative 1,700 and 15 plus 9, which most people can do in their heads, but I don't know if I can anymore. I think it's 24. Is that right? Is that right? Yeah. Well, that. I want some kind of like gold trophy for that. I couldn't do that. So we're going to get, and wait a minute, are those are inches, right? Inches, sure. All right, you got to be careful with this guy right there, because we need to convert him into inch pounds or pound inches or whatever, because he was given in pound feet. But and it freaked me out. I was like, oh man, no, they get the wrong dimension thing. It pays off to be consistent, but they just do what they want to do. And inch pounds sound better to me than pound inches. I don't know, but maybe if I've been used to it. So while I remember, I'm gonna write that down somewhere. 37 times 12, so I got 44,400 inch pounds when I multiply that by 12. I think we can all agree that we could just find it by inspection. By inspection. So, good to be clear that we could say that Rx is equal to 4,300 pounds that way, and Ry is 1,700 pounds this way. But if you're going to be like really nitpicky, you should make the sum of the forces. But there's only two forces. You got to be careful with and how many times that you, or how often, in what circumstances, that you go ahead and take a shortcut. Because those shortcuts can bite you. But I think we're going to be okay. I hope so. Let's go take an X to do next. So I'm going to look down on this thing. I'm trying not to look down on too many people. Too many things.
Is it 4,200 or 4,300?
Ooh, where we go? Oh, wait. We'll go 4,200? Yeah, is that what you guessed?
Yeah.
You're right, yeah. See? I would I have caught that if I... No, probably would have made a mistake. So this is a boring looking one. Looks pretty much the same, except that we're going to be still going to be axial loaded with that 4,200 pounds. But now the difference is going to be that this 2,300, we can see it now. But now the 1,700 disappears. And so we have the 2,300 pounds. And we're noticing that this is 15 inches. Same thing right there. And so these are Rx. These are R. Oh, I didn't draw my axes yet. Here's my X. This is Z. And here's my moments about the thing. And once again, my inspection, I can see this is going to go clockwise. Again, it's been nice to mix things up. And we're going to call that M. Let's call it RY. I'm not going to be consistent with this for a long time. I'm going to get myself. Oh, that's right. I'll try to reform. I said the summation of the moments equals to 0. And I had a student in dynamics a couple years ago. 3/4 of the way through the semester, and walked up to me after the class and asked me what that symbol meant. I didn't. I don't make. I'm just upset for what happened along the way where that wasn't like an information thing. And I felt bad about it. How long was that going on without them knowing? My heart hurt a little. I got over it, but apparently not, because I mentioned it. So here we got this reaction, counterclockwise, and then we have this right here, it's going to be clockwise, so 2,300, and that's going to be multiplied by 15. And we want to get like fast at this, but just fast, but not so fast we make mistakes. I think that's a good life thing, right? So I'm trying to be fast, but not so fast we make mistakes. Slow down at just the right times so you don't make mistakes. But speed up when you know you can do the thing, right? Go for speed when you practice the speed. People do poorly on the exams almost all the time. One of the elements is they didn't finish, or they didn't feel like they had enough time. So you can make some time for yourself if you can find ways to be set. It's great to be methodical and go slow at the right times. Try to get speed. Work on the speed on the thing. Get your reactions. Feeling comfortable with it. Boom, 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 boom. Make your time through there. And my roommate in college was a bodybuilder, and he'd have that same kind of mentality when we would work on problems together. He'd just go, "All right, next one. Are you done yet?" And he pushed me, and it was a good thing. All right, so this next one, we don't actually have to draw this 3-body diagram. because they already put the torque on here for us. And it's really the only one that we care about, right? We could do this just so for our own benefit here. This is going to be in the YZ plane, looking down the end in this way, right there. So creepy eye, down that way. And so this is the loading, right, repeat, very, very, I like the word pedantic, 44,400 inch-pounds. We have a force right over here, and this was the 2,300 pounds. We have a force down here, 1,700 pounds. And you're like, well, okay, what do we have to do? Well, we actually have to put in another load right there to balance it out, and that's going to be the reaction about the x-axis. But it's hard to see because they're like sitting on top of each other. So I drove to the outside, but they still meet, right? So this is the load, and this is the reaction. Because you cut the thing off, but it's hard to tell because it's a pipe. It's for you, is that me? I gotta look at my calendar. See what I'm gonna do. 36 seconds. All right. So I think we got all the loads, right? We could, if we wanted to, if we wanted to be silly. I like silly. Go like that right there, and you go. All right. So we have a MRX, and then that's counterclockwise, so it's positive. And this load is 44,400 equals 0. Actually, I put an extra 0. You're talking to me?
He's talking to me.
Okay,
Talking
good.
to me without me.
All right, oh, that's nice. Hey. Cool. You can come in. I like that. I want to learn from basketball. I was going to sit through one of the classes I've never had. I don't know anything about acoustical. And that's the whole reason why I came to this one. Because I don't know what sadness, so that's tragedy for me. Okay, so we want to look at two things. Let's go, we want to look at H and K, because we want to care about both of them. Let's take a look at H first. H. Well, this next one, I like to go in order. So, you know what I forgot to do in class? Remind me of this in class. I want to point out how these problems all seem to have the same order of stuff in them. It actually happens a lot, right? So, I didn't do the first thing I usually do, but this first one doesn't really matter. But a lot of times what I'll do is geometry. Geometry, so I'll spell it right. Geometry, sure, something like that. I don't know if that's spelled right. That's how sad I am. On exams, I almost always give you the geometry stuff, but you could do it yourself, right? So in this case, we have pi over 4, but because we have a hollow thing, we can go do squared minus di squared, right? Just to get this out of the way when you're doing a problem, and even when you're doing homework, you can go a little faster on this. So we go 4.5. I'll leave the zeros in there. And 4.026. Somebody was trying to be accurate with the numbers, but that's really good. A 4-inch pipe does have a 4.5-inch diameter. And is not 4 inches in inside diameter. Craziness. Crazy.
We're going to get like stuff like transverse shear equations.
Say that again?
Transverse shear, it's circles, the 4 over 3.
Yeah, this one's 2 constant. I keep hitting the wrong buttons here. Okay. You're asking if we're going to be given it?
Like the equation for that.
It's in the book.
Oh, yeah, so it's book.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, yes, in a way. All right. I don't know. I could have made a lot of mistakes just now because my brain hurts. fourth minus di fourth. I'm just gonna write the thing out without filling in the numbers. 4.54.4.026. Also, something that you should. It's gonna be funny for me. I'm used to myself. I think it was half that up. Be careful not to practice and talk while you're doing your equations. That's how I would practice for things. Is I would talk my way through it, and then during the exam, I had to keep my mouth shut. And yeah. So anyway, I want to finish this up, and then we're finish my thought. That was supposed to be one decimal place off. All right, so my thought is 231.4 inches forward is here's the thing to do. I'm going to try to separate this out, so this is not good procedure here of neatness. I do geometry, then I do loads. Why do I do geometry first? Because if this was an exam and I didn't give you the geometry, which I usually do, so that you don't have to, spend the time going through this thing I truly believe you can do, right? Except you might make a math error. And I'm not looking for opportunities to take points off, but yeah. But you want to get in motion. You want to keep in motion when you're taking the exam and not be slowed down by thinking too much. You want to think just enough, but not too much. And so anyway, you do geometry, then you do loads, and that's all the 3 line diagrams. And then you do stresses, and then we combine stresses, and then we find principal stresses. And then, so we will replace that in a little while, where we won't do principal stresses. We'll find out, we might do principal stresses, right? But we also will do something called von Mises. I'm giving it away. The von Mises, which is a competitor to the maximum shear stress theory. And you find what that. And then you'll find a safety factor. And that's a very, very much repetitive kind of process. Geometry, and you find the loads, then you find the stresses, then you combine the stresses, and that combination of combining the stresses you might as well call, that's the principal stress too. So let's just lump that in. And then you compare to your strength, and then you find the safety factor. And we just keep doing that. And then sometimes we have a little variation where we go, okay, well now we want to be designers. So we get down to the place where we have the loads and we work backwards to try to find the size of the thing. And then we're kind of using the geometry. But it's kind of the same mindset that we're tackling. Okay? So we have axial. It's one of a good place to start. It starts with an A. And it'll count for both things. From our loads, we know that 4,200 is going to be the one that's in line with the axis, and therefore the thing. And you can tell that it's going to cause tension. If you want to look at the reaction, you could even just look right there, cover it up, look at the reaction, and the reaction causes tension right there as a thing. We can also go to the stump, if there was a stump, and we would look and we would, okay, that also causes tension. So that's 4,200, and the area I said was 3.174, and I'm not trusting that number at all, but that's okay. I was talking while I was doing it. And so 4,200, and I just noticed I had that in my calculator, so I decided to do it. And so I'm going to have 1,000. I can turn this into KSI. Is it okay if I turn this into KSI? So it's 1,323, so 1.323 KSI tension. And then on H, we're taking a look. We already kind of knew that it was going to be a moment that's coming down around the z-axis. Right? It's going to be the one that causes at H, one that causes bending stress at H. So that's going to be tension, and it's going to be MZ that causes it. So that's going to be, or MRZ, I guess what we were saying 40,800 is the one that's right here, and they're going to cause, they're causing the tension level in there. So we go bending. MC over I. And the C, remember, is going to be the radius, the outside. We could have done the inside, because we did a, this is actually a good place to decide. Do you want to do it on the outside, or do we want to do it on the inside? Because we could combine with the radial, if we do it on the inside. Let's do it on the outside, I don't care. Alright, cool. Let me give you something a little extra for you to figure out here. There's a little bit of this. Let's see, what did I say? 40,800. And this is 4.5 divided by 2. And I, assuming I got that right, that seems like a lot. Sorry. Heads numbers. 4,800. Okay. 4.5 times 2 divided 5.7. Boom. Ooh, I don't feel good about that. I think this number is like way off. Yeah, I don't feel good about that. I don't feel good about that at all. Oh, you know what it is? I totally know what it is. I did not multiply that by 64 or divide it by, multiply it by pi or divide it by 64. Don't trust me. Alright, 4.5 raised to 4, and then 4.026 raised to the 4, and then subtract it. Yep, that was, maybe, I don't know. There you go. Pi times it, and then 64 divided. Yeah, so this is all of 7.233. Yeah, that, okay, good. And then you just multiply by 2, and you got 14.465. I don't need that. If something doesn't look right, fix it. I had one student, this was a couple of years ago, so I don't think I'm not going to name the person or any self-identifying things. But this person I had them for several classes, would always make some little error and get weird numbers, but just turn in the number. And I can't tell you how many times I told that person, like, if you get a weird number, at least just write down, I must have made a mistake, or something like that. Just give me an indication that you recognize that, like, the stress is probably not 500 million, right?
500 million feet per second.
Yeah, if you get something like that, just give me that. And I know you don't have enough time, maybe, so it'll be on homework too. Like, just please recognize, mentoring thing. That's probably wrong. They get to like 0.000546 seven, right? And it's supposed to be stressed. I'm like, chances are you made a unit mistake somewhere, right? And it was a particular student, and they're out there somewhere, and I hope they stop. And, or I hope whoever they work for, when they see something along those lines, what kind of professor would have taught you to not be critical of the answers that you get? My fault, apparently. My way of teaching is that I don't know, it's a structured moment, right? I'm just complaining. So, I said I was going to be positive, I was positive that that was not right. You go for torsion and tau, you go TRQ. T-O-R-Q. Don't know why I do that. Probably not really the torque. I guess T-R over J. And so this was given, right? So 44,000. 4.5, I should know what 4.5 divided by 2 is in there, right? Where to go? Okay, so yeah, a lot of times I end up, it depends on the geometry and what the values are, obviously. But focusing on quite often right in the range of being about 1/2 of the bending. It doesn't have to be, there's no rule about it. That's not tension or compression. Don't write down tension or compression for sure. Okay? That's not true. And then for this one, called medium shear or transverse. I say myself in letter rather than 4 letters and stuff. And we could look this up for a hollow cylinder. It's 2 times V over A. We could look that up if you'd like. Can you take my word for it?
Sure.
Okay. Thanks. Appreciate it. All right, so we have to figure out which force causes transverse shear at H. And this is H up here. So what do you think? That guy, or that guy?
Oh,
that guy. You just said that guy. I saw that coming. I put my chin up there. Go ahead. Hit me. Hit me.
the one's parallel across the plane, so I would say in the direction.
This guy?
Yeah.
That guy. Sure. That guy. 2,300, I agree. And 3.174. It's probably going to be a pretty small one. Transfer shear is often really small, real small one. If you get a really large number, you might have done something. Or I found a creative way to it's 2. See, it's not so bad. It's kind of in the range of the axial, actually. So we get 1.449 KSI. Let's do a little bit of combining. We could also finish. Let me see how we do this. That's what we could do. We could do. I believe in this. We can also look at K. And the axial is the same, and the torsional is the same. It's the bending that will be different. So we get a bend. We might go K. I don't know. The subscript crazy. MC over I is our equation. We got to figure out what kind of thing happens at K. And I think we already discussed this a little bit, but maybe not. Which one causes which bending moment?
Okay.
That's K. About what axis do you think?
D. Oh, no.
How about this one?
Y-axis.
How about the y-axis, right? You can picture it almost better to take a look up here and see that. Okay, so we're looking down on the thing, and it's going to be this way. It's going to be like it's going to come a bending here and bending here, right? Because this is the neutral axis, remember? So it's like you could. There's maybe a trick, or maybe the mnemonic that a mnemonic that might work for you, not maybe the one. But you could take a look at whatever view that you have right there, and you can see that it's going to be to either side. It's going to be 0 in the center, right? From this view right here, because that's the neutral axis. So it's going to be. So what is it right there? Is it tension or compression? Tension or compression? Right here, is that tension or compression? That's tension. So right here is where K actually is, right? So that's compression. Okay. We're cool with that?
Yeah.
All right. I went a little faster than that. That's how the time it was. I didn't try to rush. Try not to. I like to mumble sometimes. Mumble.
So the axial is the same?
Yeah, axial is the same because it's distributed across. Some of the pictures, I think, the pictures look probably worse.
And same for the torsion?
Yes, the torsion is the same, right? So here's actually what they pictured. Here's another one where they pictured the torsion, right? And the torsion is the same here, as it is here, as it is here, as it is here, right? Here's a good one. we didn't have that one. Oh, are you really gonna do this thing? Yeah, right, let's do it. That's what it is. Yeah, the down right there. You see that distribution is the same everywhere. Only. Not that you're gonna memorize that, I didn't, but you know, in terms of trying to remember. And let's see, we had 7.233. So 34,500. Oops. And it equals 10.73 KSI, but compression. And then left is trans at that location. And this is a K. And this is a 2V over A. 2 and the V. See where we're going. K is where we're looking at. Yeah, that doesn't look like a spot. K is right here. So it's this one right here, right? 1,700. And going downwards. 1,700 divided by 3.174 and 1,700. 1.071 KSI. Then we can do the combine. Oh. Darn. I forgot. This is also one we could have done in the previous one, because it's going to be tricky there. We have hoop. Before we do the hoop, we should really do this. Let's see, the thickness is going to be 4.500 minus 4.026 divided by 2. 4.5. Let's hope it's thin. We're going to pretend it's thin, even though it's going to be faster. That's 0.2370 inches. We do the outside radius, it's easier. 4.5 divided by 2. 2.25? Yep. So we have T over RO. 0.2. It's going to be close. Right? Oh. That's close enough. It's close enough. Inside radius cover made it a bit larger. A little bit larger, let's say.
Well, didn't you say it's like also just line and change everything?
Yeah, there's no.
They're not sure about it.
It's not a hard cliff that we're going to get a line over. Yeah. But actually, I asked you in the homework to look at the second problem in the homework. Check it out. Quantify. What if you use the thin one, the thin approximation instead of the thick one, or both? Yeah. And you'll see. Then you'll have another. So anyway, so the tangential is the hoop. And we go P, we're on the outside, so we go PI times VI over 2T. I think that's correct. Memory, we'll go by memory. It's good to memorize stuff, but only if you find yourself incorrect. If you find yourself wrong all the time, don't do it. Isn't that, these words of wisdom? That's why they take it. That's why they pay it so much. I would do it for free. I'll tell them that. They'll take it. My wife doesn't want to. I talked a lot about them. longitudinal, we could be really lazy here. Just divide that by 2. 4.247 KSI. Also tension. Now we don't have to do radial because we decided randomly we were going to be on the outside surface. We're okay with that? But if you put radial in there, I'm going to go, you don't know what you're doing. You're just throwing numbers into the thing with just blindly plugging numbers into equations without like, really paying attention. Not thinking. It's not thinking. You turn your finger up. But they can't judge it too harshly for it because I do that all the time. It's really easy. It's a pitfall. So anyway, do the combine. And we got to pick one, so let's start out with H. And as you saw in Philpot, you saw what I was mimicking, right? Where I do this thing. It's just an intermediate step. This is the important one right here, where you demonstrate the result. But this is a good intermediate step that I don't require, but I recommend. So let's do that. So we're taking a look, and first off, it's a good idea to draw the axes at H. H is in the plane of XZ. We're in agreement? XZ, that's the plane. This flat thing right there. Okay. And I don't like having X go that way, so I'm looking down it that way, XZ. So what is in the X direction? Well, definitely axial. And we can just write the words, or we can put the numbers, whatever you want to do. Axial. Going up in that direction. Then now here, let's go to bend. What's happening in the bend direction? Okay, well that was due because of this, right? There was intention. We already know it's intention because it says so, right? Chair. So we already made that decision. So the bend is also causing tension. And then lastly, you got to remember that the pressure vessel, so we have longitudinal. I should have maybe made this Socratic and asked you which one was in that direction, shouldn't I? But, it's in the name, longitudinal. It's in the long direction. Long. So we have longitudinal also in that direction. So there's a lot of things adding up in that direction. In the Z direction, this is a really important point. I will take off points for this on an exam. So be careful. Only in a pressure vessel is really the situation where there's going to be stress on that face. Don't put stress on that face. That's really the only situation we can have. But a lot of times people would put axial in this direction and bending in the other direction because there's 2 directions and they have 2 stresses, so they go ahead and put them on both things. But that shows a lack of understanding, right? But we can put this right here, and that's going to be boom. Which, unfortunately, I can't get out of my head the stupid rap thing that was like, whoo, there it is. Every single freaking time, I can't stop. Very upsetting. Very upsetting. Makes me angry at myself. Okay, so let's say, this is a really good next visualization thing. Let's take a look at what's happening at H due to the torque. Right? And we have a torsion here, so it must be going across the face that way, which is upwards for us. And I don't have to draw all the other ones here, but I'll put a little lead up here. Sometimes they get in the way. There's the torque right there. And then lastly is the trans. And what did we decide? The trans was the 2,300. Oh, and that one was this way right here, right? So it actually goes opposite. That's a good, it's good to have examples that are opposite. Sometimes they have too many that will be in agreement with each other. So we have a game plan for getting our combined stresses. We visualize the most important thing, visualization. So we're going to say the stress in the X direction is going to be the axial, which is 1.247 1.323 plus, because this is in addition to 12.69, plus the longitudinal 4.247, 1.323, 12.69 plus 4.247, and we have 18.26 KSI. Tension, just remind ourselves. And then shear, and this will be shear in the XZ if you want it to be technically correct. We're going to have torsion. It doesn't matter which one is positive or negative as long as one of those is negative. 1.449. So we go 6.904, 1.449 minus 5.455 KSI. So we can summarize with, and we also, we didn't have to do anything here, but notably the hoop is equal to the Z stress. So we have the hoop is 8.49. I just wrote megapascals for some reason. This is KSI. This is 18.26 KSI. This one ahead. And then this is upwards because it was more torsional shear than the other shear. And we'll finish off with all the correct arrows on there. And then right, as best I can in here. I usually move this up a little bit. So it's right here at the corner is where I want to label this guy. And once again, it's good practice to put our coordinate axis inside. So I'm putting a thought bubble in it. That's what I'm dreaming about. Could be wrong. We're in overtime. 2 hours, 8 minutes. Do I hear more, or do you get the idea? Did it help a little bit?
Should we try the other one on our own?
Yeah, try the other one on your own. See if you can get the right thing.
Good question.
Okay.
So, can you make that a force diagram? The one, beforehand. So we always measure the transverse and the torsional on that as a vertical on that, on that plane because of shear stresses, right?
You mean this guy?
Yeah, both of those two are shear.
Yeah, both of those are shear.
So that's why we labeled like that.
Yes. And you can even think of it like, the big words are the normal and shear.
Oh, okay, that's what I was saying.
Yeah, normal and shear. The normal is perpendicular. I mean, they're using the word normal as a synonym of perpendicular.
Gotcha.
Right?
Okay.
And then shear is this kind of thing right here, which I often think of as like grandma's scissors. Right? She's cutting with the thing. We're cutting this way. The scissors, the two blades slice against each other in plane with the thing. Right? So these are normal to these, and this one's in shear that we're rubbing up against each other. Oh, I forgot to put in these guys too. Usually you put the other arrow in there, and then you don't label them. So I forgot to. Maybe we can stop the video and then we can just do this to ourselves, right? See if we get the right number. I'll do that real quick. You're welcome to. You don't have to leave. You just don't want to take your time. And make sure that video is all quiet. Although I don't think anyone's watching this. Is anybody watching this?
I think so. I usually just go back and just double check.
Okay. Leave a comment. Subscribe. Give me a thumbs up. I check my thumbs up sometimes. What am I like a middle school girl? Checking out my Instagram. Is there any links I get? Not necessarily. It's not fair.
middle school boy. Middle school anyway. I think we're gonna say goodbye to the people at home. Goodbye, people at home.